Okay, Environmental Advisory Council, open space plan discussion. Bob.
Good evening. I'm here as the co-chairman for the Environmental Advisory Committee Council. And at the work session last week, I presented a very rough draft of the open space plan. And we're trying to move this along so that we can have a public hearing at a later time. And Joey had talked to you about the calendar for that. I just wanted to come here to make sure everybody was comfortable or had any other suggestions as far as the open space plan was concerned, or possibly get your thoughts as to other things that might be added or changed in the open space plan.
Okay, does anyone have any comments?
I have a few. Centered around funding. On page 40, there's a reference to the eligibility for $234,306, which is county funding for acquisitions. Recognizing the presentation that Gerard did this evening and looking at the future for budget and finances for the borough, do you see the borough actually having to lay out any expenditures as part of these recommendations, which I know you guys have worked very hard on, number one. Number two, once the acquisition has occurred, have you looked at ongoing costs to maintain those properties that might be acquired by the borough, and what it might mean from an overall operating standpoint, which would include not only maintenance but insurance liabilities, et cetera? I think if there's one thing I think is missing here is some reference or some recognition that this just isn't going to be a land grab, so to speak, where we get some funding from the county, but in doing this, the borough has some potential expenditures going forward.
Well, once again, the open space plan, as it's been presented to me, is an idealized plan. The actual implementation of the open space plan will be the Borough Council's responsibility. The fact that you approve this draft or a similar draft does not obligate you to spend any money. It's only if we identify a property that you would be interested in and come up with a price and things like that, apply to the county for funds that we would be expected to come up with some type. There would be some type of funds that may be required. Many times the county will accept contributions in lieu of cash, things like that. So it's not actually going to be necessarily a cash type of expenditure on the borough's part. But anytime if we are going to purchase any open space or purchase land, there are going to be some expenses that are going to have to be accounted for somehow. As far as what the maintenance will be, and once we acquire property, once again, when the borough council makes a decision that they want to purchase a property, that's something that you're going to have to decide. We're just here to put this plan in place so that if the council so desires to do it, they have the capability of doing it. It hasn't been. It's my understanding. I mean, we can sort of. Well, it's my understanding that we're not the advisory council is not here to come up with the nickels and dimes of the whole thing. It's just to put the borough council in a position where they have the opportunity to make use of those funds.
You don't have a piece of land in Newtown to sell us, you mean?
I can sell your bridge, right?
I don't have any. I do have. I mean, naturally, I've been thinking of trying to think of properties along, Newtown Creek. I think that's our basic focus right now. I have given some ideas in some of my talks to Borough Council as far as at the work session and to the Planning Commission as to how we might be able to acquire land along the creek without actually incurring any expenses. I have, is that realistic? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I think that there are different ways that we can come up with the funds if necessary, or come up with some type of way that we can work this out. But I think the primary thing is and as I look at it, the focus of this open space plan is to preserve land along the creek. I mean, I think that's one of the things that we've been trying to do. Because I think, first, it is an important part of Newtown Borough, and plus we are looking at potential development of those areas, which will give us, if you'll excuse the expression, leverage to possibly be able to preserve this land along the creek.
Just the two things, actually, but to piggyback off Bob's comments, where you have the analysis and preservation, you list a bunch of bullet points here. Would one of them make sense to say not only ease of acquisition, but financial sensibility, meaning, all right, we do acquire this land regardless of whether we get a grant and it's free. We have to insure it. We have to maintain it. There's other aspects that we need to consider when we look at property. So I guess maybe that's probably something that maybe we should put in there, saying this is one other factor that needs to be considered prior to going ahead with this.
Well, and once again, I mean, it would be my understanding that, let's say the borough wanted to purchase the state fund, or the county funds weren't available, but you wanted to purchase property. That's a decision that the council would make, and that would be something that you would have to factor into your decision. We're not here to try. And once again, I didn't look at my charge as to
look at all aspects
to come up with the analysis of that. My sole purpose was to identify those parcels which could possibly be a benefit to the borough, and then it's up to the borough council to decide whether that's something that they would want to move forward on.
Okay. I just and one more. It's kind of just a comment and an idea of maybe getting an idea from you. With the vegetation and wildlife section, you have homeowners and business property owners are responsible for caring for trees located within the right-of-way adjoining private property. And with shade tree, that's been a big challenge with maintaining the sidewalks and the access for pedestrians, and whether or not we can replace trees in those and utilizing the shade or the Tree USA Tree City USA budget. Any ideas or any suggestions on how we can get that out to the public more
John,
often?
you can just sort of, what page are we on? So
I'm sorry, on 29.
Oh, 29?
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
look
more
at it
of
that
a.
closely. That particular.
I guess my
think
point
that
is
was
we should
just
be maybe
descriptive.
partnering.
Well, I think that was just descriptive of how the borough operates. I don't think that was...
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I think what we want to do is make sure that, trees that are in the right-of-way are still the responsibility of the homeowners.
All right. I mean, it just jumped out at me because it's
Yeah.
a challenge for us, and maybe we can talk EAC and shade tree and figure out a way to.
Well, I think, and how would you want to,
Just to educate, I don't think most homeowners in the borough realize that they're responsible for those areas and maintenance of those trees.
Well, and I think one of the reasons that I know in past borough council meetings we've discussed this fact, and I don't know that and once again it's up to borough council to decide. If you would like to take control of those trees in the right-of-way, then you would be responsible for maintaining them and cutting them down. It's a very expensive proposition.
Right. I mean, I kind of got off. It just jumped out at me when I was going through it, and I thought maybe.
And I think we, in the past we have alluded to it. We don't go out and say, well, everybody, you're responsible for the trees that are in your right-of-way, but essentially you are.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments? No. Actually, well, having read various... Go ahead.
I thought, well done. I mean, I didn't read every word of it because we had it for a short amount of time, but I think it was overall well done, and I'm supportive of it moving forward.
Okay. So the next step would be getting those corrections and additions and clarifications into a
new
clean
draft.
draft, right?
Yes.
And getting that back as quickly as we possibly can.
Right.
And then with the plan, I believe, Marcia, we were talking about the schedule too, right? So getting it on the October 6th and 6th is 12th, right? 12th meeting scheduled to have a public discussion of the
Okay.
plan at that point? Okay. So if between now and then, do you think Sue Meyerhoff can get an electronic version that we
Well,
can get
what
posted
I
on
was
the web?
thinking of is I don't know how easy it was for you to read. What I was going to do is just drop it off to